Okay.
Everybody, thanks so much for listening. If you're listening to us on the radio, we appreciate that. And please tell your family and friends if you're listening to us, and also write some comments. Tell us where you're listening from on the radio. If you're listening to us on the podcast, please subscribe, like, and share this interview. We have a special guest. He has a book out, The Most Unlikely Leader. We're going to be talking about leadership and addiction in this radio show and podcast. And this is Roger Smith. Definitely check out the book. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, and every other bookstore in America. I'm sure you can get the book there. But again, The Most Unlikely Leader, Roger Smith. Thanks so much for coming on, and I appreciate you being flexible.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for having me on your show.
All right, so
Pleasure.
let's kick this around. Tell the viewers in the audience that are listening in on the radio a little bit about yourself in general.
So, I was born in New York,
Okay.
and I was a pretty independent kid. My dad went to jail when I was like 3 years old. So it was basically my mom, single head of household, with my brother and my sister. And I think I was always a hustler as a kid. I mean, I'd steal my brother's comic books and sell them in Central Park. And, I was always hustling for money. When my mom remarried, and when I was about 8 years old, we moved to Los Angeles. And back then, if if a family on the East Coast went bankrupt, they moved as far west as they could. And that's what happened. We went bankrupt and we moved as far west. So we went from Manhattan to Malibu just when it was like apartment beach shacks. It was a very small enclave of nice looking homes. And as a kid, in junior high, I got decent grades. I was, the star of the musical. I was in the chess club. I was in the woodworking club. I was a basically decent kid
Yeah.
up until the time that the summer before my 15th birthday. And then a uh, a switch flipped, and it was right at the time that the hippie movement was starting in
Yeah.
California. And so I was like this good kid at 14. At 15, I was homeless, I was a drug addict, and I was a high school dropout. So my decline was very, very rapid. And I stayed an addict for 20 years. I was, what you would call a high functioning addict. So I could perform, I could work, I could do all those things at the same time while being addicted to drugs. So, um, that kind of takes you up to like the beginning and into that addiction period.
The drugs, the alcohol, strip clubs, pornography, all this
Yeah,
stuff
yeah,
because people are getting depressed. So, talk
yeah.
to them about this. How can we change these people around before it gets too late?
So, it's a tough thing because addiction, it's exactly what you said. It's like whack-a-mole. It's like, okay, you got clean and sober on one thing, and then another thing pops up, and another thing pops up. And, first of all, it's number one, being aware of what your triggers are. But number two, there's a time where you reach a bottom, and in my case, I reached the bottom where I thought, that life wasn't worth living because the picture of who I saw of myself, the inner picture that nobody else could see but me, was
Mhm.
basically this homeless drug addict old man. I mean, that's how I saw myself when I was 30 years old.
Wow.
And until you change that inner picture, um, you're not going to really change a lot about yourself. So, it was interesting when when I got to that point, when I hit my bottom, and that was basically spending 5 hours on all fours looking for, a sliver of crack cocaine in the carpet, and then realizing this is I don't want to live, and started to walk into the ocean. Um,
Oh, wow.
when I got into rehab and when I got out of rehab, there's a couple of things that I thought, and that was that I had years and years and years of habits as an addict, of an addicted person. And so I went to the basics of changing habits. Like if I brushed my teeth with my left hand, I was going to brush my teeth with my right hand. If I put my right shoe on first, I was going to put my left shoe on first. And I know this is like really, really
Yeah.
drastic, but it's what I felt I needed to do because
Sure.
everything that I did led me back to some form of addiction. And if I was going to change, then I needed to change all the habits. I needed to change that picture of who I could be and what I could be. And once I started to change the picture, here's the great thing. Here's the great, because you're sitting here in a dismal place and you're going, this is never going to change. What's going to happen? Here's the interesting thing.
Mhm.
What does happen is that there's a lot of energy that you use as an addict to feed your addiction. It's negative energy, but it's a lot of energy. If you could change once you're clean and sober and change that energy into a positive force, same energy,
Sure.
just used in a productive, positive way, it is amazing how you can change your world, how you can change your life. But you have to be absolutely committed to it. I to this day, so where are we? 35 years later,
Yeah.
to this day, I keep that picture of myself on all fours looking for that sliver of cocaine. It
Oh, wow.
stays up front in my mind. And the reason is because I never want to go back there. I never want to be that creature, that monster, that person. And so I keep it very vivid and very close, you know, to the way I think of what I do.
Roger, can we go back to the time when you were in that Pacific Ocean and you were ready
Uh-huh.
to end it?
Yeah.
You know, how did you stop yourself from doing this? Did you have, a vision from Christ? Did you have just thoughts in yourself? Did somebody come up to you? How did you stop
Yeah,
from
yeah.
doing something?
So it's interesting because at that time I didn't believe in God.
Yeah,
So so it's hard. It's hard. Now I look back and go, okay, this was a blessing on my life.
yeah,
And that's the way I believe. But at that time I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in much. So
sure.
it was it was like I said, now I look at it as a blessing. I think then it was pure survival.
Yeah.
I just wasn't ready to die. And I was willing to do anything at that point to find another alternative.
Yeah. Well, we're happy you're still around. And
Me too.
obviously, the book is out. Again, The Most Unlikely Leader. You can see it as Robert speaks if you're watching us on the podcast. If you're not, just look up the Most Unlikely Leader. And it's, again, all the bookstores. I'm not going to name them and go through that rigmarole again, but we'll move forward in the interview. I want to talk about this because, there's a lot of men that listen to us primarily. So speak to the men here, Raja, because a lot of these men, if they're facing an addiction, and a lot of them are like you were, they're
You're right.
going through life, they're working, they're married, they got kids, they're just, going through life, but they still have their problems that they're hiding away from people. They don't want to face them.
Yeah.
You talk to
Yeah.
those men specifically about these issues because a lot of them are afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, here's the one thing that I can guarantee you. You're not going to outrun your addiction. You
Right.
aren't going to do it. It's as much as you might think right now you could do it, it's not going to happen. The addiction's stronger than whatever you could outrun or try to outrun. So if you realize that, then you got to figure out how do I get this monkey off my back? And it doesn't. It could be drugs, it could be porn, it could be gambling. I mean, there's so many different addictions, eating,
Right.
the whole thing. There are many, many, many organizations that you could go to. I mean, there's NACA, there's Pornography Anonymous, there's Gamblers Anonymous. There are organizations that can help, and I say this to you because right now you almost think like you're alone in this. It's like you're the only
Yeah.
one going through it, and you're not. There are many, many people going through it, and in these organizations they have the steps that can help you, you never get rid of the addiction, but at least be able to move away from the addiction, to be able to live a life where you're not just under the thumb of an addiction, which is just a horrible way to live your life. It's like you're looking over your shoulder, just waiting for the shoe to fall, and it will. So you got to reach out. There are people that they've gone through what you're going through. There are people that will support you in what you're going through and help you get through, onto the other side.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot of work on your end, making sure that you stay in that place and not walking into tempting things. It's not like I could get out of rehab and go, sit in a room where other people were doing coke. That's it. It's not going to happen. You can't put yourself in that type of tempting
Yeah.
situation. You can't sit in a scene that is going to trigger, that addiction.
When did you find out that you were a leader?
Well, there's a book. I'm not sure if you know this book. It's called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. I read that book and realized I broke every law. I mean, if it was even possible to do that, yes, I had broken every law of leadership. So, I think there's certain things that, well, I'll give you an example. As an addict, you look for a sponsor, right? You look for somebody that can help you get through that
Right,
addiction.
right. Of course.
Well, as a leader, you look for mentors. You look for other people that have been in leadership that can mentor you and help you learn about leadership. And I got to tell you, I was so fortunate in my life. I was really, really fortunate that I had, multiple mentors that really just opened up, all sorts of ideas in leadership, and what I believe made me the leader that I am today. I'm a big believer in the power of multiple mentors, and I think that it's your responsibility to search that out. So, the key things that I've learned in that. And
Again,
I'd be
Raj.
glad to share. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Again, Roger Smith, the most unlikely leader. Definitely check out the book, Roger. As we keep going into the interview,
Mhm.
if you could rather, please do share some of those aspects of leadership, people that you mentors, and all those stories for the people
Yeah.
listening. Rather, sorry.
Yeah. So first of all, I had like um my three main mentors. My first one was my stepfather, my third father, who
Okay.
actually brought me into the business. So,
Oh,
he's the one. He taught me how to close. I was the worst closer in the world. I was so bad when I started sales that the back of my neck would start to shake because I was so scared, and I thought people thought I was having a seizure. I mean, that's how
jeez.
bad that I was. So, listen, there is nothing that I have done that I'm not. I was never a natural born salesperson or a natural born leader or a natural born CEO. It's all learned behavior. It's all
Is it
behavior.
basically just confidence? Sorry to interrupt you.
You know what? it is confidence. And it's an interesting thing because you got to be willing to put in the work. So I was willing to put in the work that it took to practice my presentation. I gave more presentations every day than the rest of the people around me. And
Sure.
when I did that, I became better at it. And when I got better at it, I got more results. And when I got more results, I got confidence. And once I got confidence, closing ratio went up, everything else. So that was, my stepfather was the first one. The founder of the company that I eventually became the CEO, he taught me about just patience and looking for the best in people. Just like he saw the best in me that I couldn't see myself. It's so important that you look for the best in other people and see. And just talked about, the social injustices of the world and how you deal with it and so on. And then my third mentor taught me just key things like nothing's as good as it seems and nothing's as bad as it seems. And that was key to me because my life was these highs, valleys and hills. And he said, listen, when you're on the hill, something's going to come and pull you off of that. And when you're in that valley, this too shall pass. So once you get that, then you don't have to live your life in these highs and lows. He also taught me, to respond and not to react. And this was key because I used to do it where I was just putting out fires, reacting to things instead of pulling back, responding in a logical manner. And that was key. And then the last thing he taught me was that if you want to motivate people, it's okay to motivate with emotion if you're motivating in a positive sense. But if I'm dealing with you and I have to deal with something that's negative, then use data because the data isn't subjective. It's something that puts the ball right in your court. I used to use emotion for everything. So I'd be, yeah, man, you're the best. And then I'd be yelling at them on Sunday when they didn't have the figure. You can't do that. So these mentors in my life really, just taught me about things of how to work with people and then what to look for and then really show the characteristics so that other people will follow you.
Right. Go ahead.
Well, real quickly on this.
Sure.
So if you said to me, Roger, what do you think? What are the characteristics that make up a leader? I'd say number one, that leaders are visionary. Leaders see further than the people that they're leading.
Right.
When I was in school, like my teacher would say, well, he daydreams a lot. Well, I say to you, if you're a leader, you better be spending an hour of your day daydreaming. And if you're not thinking about the future, what can be, then you're not being the visionary. I think that you need to have influence with people. And if you're going to have influence, you do it in two ways. Number one, you get results. Like you're not going to follow me unless I can teach you something, unless you could get the results that you want, right?
Right.
So you're going to follow me if I have results. But you're also going to follow me if you think I care about you. And I don't mean caring when you think other people think you want to care. I mean really care about you, your family, your success. And I think that if you're visionary, if you have influence and you have systems that work and you're willing to inspect those systems, then you're going to have success and you're going to teach people how to have success in leadership.
So most people do say, don't burn bridges with people. I know you say burn them all. I agree with that in a way that's saying, listen, you can't make everybody happy. Some people, and then there's also some people in your life that, you may think they're a good friend, you may think they're a good mentor or a helper for you, but you know what? They may be contributing to your addictions or the bad karma and the bad vibes in your life. And you have to just cut the cord. Family, friends, whoever it may be, get them the hell out of your life. Is that what
Yeah.
you're getting to, or
Well,
go ahead.
not really, but you have a great memory, by the
Yeah.
way. um, so my philosophy in that is that if you go into something and in the back of your mind you have a plan B, you have, if this doesn't work, then I'll do this. If you
Hmm.
have an escape hatch, the temptation when you hit an obstacle is so great that you tend to do your plan B. And what I mean by burning your bridges is and if you want to burn, relationship bridges, you could do that too. And there are definitely ones that you need to. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that you need to burn the bridges behind you so that
Yeah.
you don't have an option to go backwards. You can only go forward. And it is amazing in human nature. If you know that the only place is forward and you hit that obstacle, that wall, it is amazing how creative you get to go around it, go through it, go over it, but you
Right.
get over to the other side. And you know what? Later on, you look back and you go, well, that was a bump in the road. But when you're
Yeah.
at that wall, it's so great. And you just can't have the temptation to turn away. So I say, burn your bridges.
I mean, that's great. And I agree with that 100%. When people do read the book, what do you hope they get out of it? I mean, we've talked about a lot here, but you know,
Mhm.
in, in all the things that we've spoken about, maybe we haven't spoken about something that you hope they get out of. But what do you hope they get out of the book?
So what I hope is that no matter where they are in their life, if they're feeling stuck, if they feel that, the deck is stacked against them, then my answer to you is it very well may be. You may have the deck stacked against you right now, but
Hmm.
that isn't the excuse for why you can't have everything that you want in life. And if you're
Right.
willing to commit to it, you're willing to persevere, and you're willing to dream, and you're willing to implement, all the things that you need to do to fulfill your dreams, then you can have it, regardless of your education, regardless of your race or creed or religion, regardless of all of that you can achieve those things. And I'm hoping by reading the book that they say, hey, man, this guy, this guy really did not have a shot in hell of achieving the things that he achieved. But I
Right.
did. But I did. And if I did, then you could too, because like I said, it's all learned behavior. None of it came naturally.
Well, it is the American story, your story, and how you
Yep.
rose above all these obstacles. We do hope people read the book. Again, The Most Unlikely Leader, Roger Smith, all the bookstores. Roger, where can people find out more about you, follow you on social media? Just give all the viewers and the listeners all that
Yeah.
information, please.
So they can go on to my website, themustunlikelyleader.com. They can actually order the book directly on there. I'm doing like a 30% discount, and I'm signing books. So they can go on there. There's also my bio, the social media, and other stuff that's on there. So
All
that
right.
would be the best way.
All right. So themostunlikelyleader.com.
That's it.
Definitely check it out there. Get the book there. And it's better to get the book from there because,
Because I'm going to
Amazon,
sign it.
yeah, you got to sign it. And I know Amazon takes tons of money away from the authors. So, and they're not my cup of tea, but par for the
Exactly.
course.
Yes,
But yeah, no,
exactly.
definitely get it there. And I'm going to be
Good.
quiet and just tell the people that are listening, definitely check out this story. It's a story of somebody that really rose above their problems and really got to a place where they're extremely successful. I think that people can really learn from your story. And I do hope they buy the book, The Most Unlikely Leader. Roger Smith, thanks so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Rob.